Welcome back in this segment of the Sports Source, brought to you by Safety Systems. When it comes to outfitting your home with the latest in audio video systems, call Safety Systems and VFL JJ Surlis. We thank them for being a part of the Sports Source family. When we started this show back in 2003, the idea with a shoestring budget was to create a show where you just felt like you were sitting around with your friends watching TV, talking sports. In hindsight, looking at it, maybe could have gone in a different direction, but maybe we wouldn't have made it here if we'd done that. We had somebody do interviews with a bunch of our guys, the 5 longest tenured members of our show, a couple weeks ago. We've put that together with some highlights and videos for this look back at where the Sports Source has come from.
I had met John a little while earlier, and we hadn't known each other that long, but I was part of the first show, part of the first crew that did the first show.
I guess I was on the tail end of that first year.
I came on right around there. I was at a couple of shows in Seymour during football season, and long drive to get there.
Well, it was finding the studio in Seymour, which it was, I pretty much got, go to the one traffic light and turn right, and it was kind of interesting getting out there.
Well, on a full-time basis, it was a lot more recent than that, but I did do some shows with him in Seymour and at other locations before we landed here.
And you're going up to Seymour where you don't even know there's a television studio. I was expecting more of a, hey, this is kind of thrown together, but you get up there and John had thrown it together, but he had thrown it together very well.
But one of the things I remember about him is that I always thought that John Pennington was well prepared and had good topics for you. And I think that's what impressed me about doing the show.
You know, I'm not sure what year it was. It was out at Spicy's on Emory Road. I knew about the show because a couple of my friends that I knew were doing it, and I'd hear them talk about it, and I'd hear about this John Pennington guy, and I didn't really know who he was. And somehow I met John, and somehow I kind of muscled my way into the rotation. And I believe we would sit there with a beer on the table. It would be loud and in a bar, so that appealed to me.
It was kind of interesting because at a bar, I know this is a shock, but some people drink at a bar, and so a lot of times when you're trying to do a show, there were quite a few distractions.
When you're at a restaurant or a sports bar, I remember one time, I'm pretty sure it was like the 8-ball goes flying across the room, or one of the billiards ball goes flying across the room.
You went from the studio atmosphere with nobody watching except the camera people and producers to now you're standing there and you actually have almost sort of like a studio audience. So that added a little bit to it. It threw an element of, what's this guy who just walked up here going to do to it?
It doesn't take much to distract you because, it is live. And when you're dealing with all that noise, or there might have been an argument, or boyfriend and girlfriend get into it, and we're still just trying to keep on rolling like nothing happened.
I think for the person that's watching, they like the idea of seeing a lot of topics. They like the idea of covering a lot of ground. And so I think that's one of the things that helps make the show go. And I think that's one of the things John does really well, is he is able to come up with some different topics, some refreshing topics, some really good numbers, some information, which I think makes the show flow.
If you come in and you're doing an hour-long show and you've got 5 topics, it tends to drag out a little bit. It tends to go a little bit slower. Whereas with a lot of topics, a lot of questions, and a lot of people, everything's moving. You're moving in and off the set. That's part of it. But everything is peppy and popping. And I think the viewers kind of at home get a feeling, too. This isn't 4 guys sitting there talking about 2 or 3 questions over the course of an hour. Plus, you get a lot of information, and you get a big diversity of the views. And I think that's what the attraction of the show is.
All I see is the pluses. The pluses is that you have true commentary from people. You got the almanac himself, Jimmy Hines. Mike Strange has been around forever. You got Bob Hodge. Chuck, he's the funniest guy on the set, but Chuck's been around. And then you got the former athletes that have played the sports they talk about that appear on the Sports Source.
And then you never know what somebody might say during the course of that show. It could be something insightful, could be something funny, something off the cuff. But I just think it's a good blend.
And I'll go back to John's creativity on how you do a show that's not just built around highlights. It's not just built around pictures. It's built around questions and answers. And so I think that's what gives people something different.
The thing I'm most proud of is that we're able to give our own commentary without having being structured. What you hear is honest opinions. John's not telling us what to say. He asks the question. Half the time we don't know all the questions. We might know a topic. But you know, and he wants us to be honest, and we are, and that makes it so clean and fresh.
And, you know, we're not giving you the party line. So I think that's another reason for the success and the longevity of the show.
I don't spout out the Tennessee party line. That's not what I do. I'm an independent thinker. I mentioned many years ago when I started in radio, I come with no strings attached.
We don't just shoot from the hip, but we'll say what we think. And, you know, it's not just, you know, making things up.
F is also, it's got to be for the frustration of Tennessee fans. And I think it's really frustrating that Philip Fulmer told CBS, we don't have the leadership.
It's usually a pretty valid opinion and then trying to back it up.
I like that perspective. I would not do a show where you're told you have to say everything positive about anybody or any institution, anybody you cover. I don't think that's really enjoying for a lot of fans out there. Are there some fans that want to hear only that? Sure. But I don't enjoy doing it, and I don't do it and won't do it. So to me, that's the best way to present a show with an independent voice.
I think the viewers appreciate the candid opinions. And, you know, it's not like we have a paycheck that is reliant on pleasing the folks at the University of Tennessee. Obviously, we have a lot of respect for, you know, people at UT, but we're not going to sugarcoat, well, most of us, Sterling Hinton may sugarcoat it, but most of us are not going to sugarcoat our feelings about UT if it's not something we really and truly believe in.
We had upset Miami a few years back, and down there in Miami, and I'm the only one that said we're going to win. What's new? But
Sterling thinks Tennessee's going to go 17-0 every year, even though there are only 13 games. He doesn't need a microphone. He always pumps me up and brings energy to me.
I'm going to pop these things on while I'm watching it at 7 o'clock, and it's great to be a Tennessee ball. That's why, baby. Tennessee 28, Missouri 21.
Oh, wow, look at that.
they're more analytical, and that's their job. You know, they're analytical. I'm more directly attached and passionate about Tennessee football. And I get a chance to mingle with the person versus the number inside the jersey. So I know the heart and soul of a lot of these players, and I'm blessed to be able to do so. Sometimes I might come from the perspective of a player versus just a straight analyst. And I can't stop that because I am a player, I'm a former ball, and I love our Tennessee football team. Well, it's helped. It's helped me. You know, John gave me a shot. You know, a lot of people, always thought I could do what I'm doing, but John gave me the shot. My hat's off to him for giving me the opportunity on his show that he puts all the sweat, blood, and tears behind for us to be able to shine on the set as we do.
You ever wear makeup for the show?
Do I ever wear makeup for a show? No, I wear makeup after the show. That's usually when I do that.
Okay.
Makeup? Man, there's not enough makeup on this side of the continent to get me ready for TV. I'm ugly and I'm proud of it.
John forbids makeup, so no. Okay. At least not during the show hours. Now, Saturday nights.
Do you ever wear makeup for TV?
No, do I need to? Are you suggesting that I need makeup for TV? I think you are.
They don't have enough makeup for me. No.
We'll have more look backs through our history coming up in the show, but the next segment, one that we do once a year, it's very important. Get every male you know into the living room to watch this one. Come on back. Mike Stoll and Dr. Christopher Ramsey, you don't want to miss this. It is important. It could save your life.
John, I knew we would always make it big. Congrats on 600 shows. That's quite an accomplishment. By the way, I'm covering the president in Martha's Vineyard. Your move.